What's up, people? So we back at you. It's been a while. In fact, I don't think we've done a podcast in the year 2020. We started off, I guess, around football season, early football season, doing these things, and it kind of fell off. But now, better than ever, is a good time to restart the whole Father and Sons podcast. So, as you know, as we've said before, as we've done before, we're going to talk about, the issue at hand, or the issues at hand, and we want to involve you. So here we go. I'm Jamal. I'm the father, the patriarch of the family. Let everybody else introduce themselves. Who are you, sir?
Jamil, the oldest son.
Joel, the middle child, like J. Cole said.
Masai, the oldest child.
Yeah, and then down here is Shaka, the youngest and craziest of them all. So, obviously, there's been a lot going on. We don't live in Philadelphia anymore, but we're close enough and we're still in the city enough to know and appreciate what's happening in our city and the reasons why. We know everything that's been said, social media, in the news, and various outlets about what happened to George Floyd. But it's bigger than George Floyd, obviously. I mean, George Floyd's death sparked this movement, these protests, and this huge unrest throughout the country. However, this has been boiling for a long time. And so we're just going to get into it. We're just going to talk about it, and wherever the conversation goes, it goes. I'll throw out the first question. And that first question to you guys is, how you feeling? How you feeling right now, given everything that's going on?
I am, I think more than anything, just mentally drained. And we're, to clarify, all three of us are, heavy on social media. We all got Twitter, Instagram. Me and Lil got Facebook. Side not on Facebook as much. My dad doesn't have any social media, so he doesn't see as much as we see. But I'm definitely just mentally drained from just seeing and engaging with people. It is tiring just looking, at your screen all the time. So I always find myself just having to get away from it and resetting. But there's just so many different, opinions, rightfully so, but opinions that are based off of misinformation and bias. So the past couple of days, especially this week with all of the protests going on, I've been heavily, writing to, the people who I feel like need to be addressed. And so that's how I'm feeling right now. I'm just mentally drained. I've been waiting for this week to just be over because, I also teach online, so that adds to it because I'm always looking at my computer. So that and the combination of being on social media and being active, but also just having to see these varying opinions, it does a lot to your mental psyche.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It's exhausting. Just having to see all these opinions, and like he said, people have their opinions. That's what it's going to be. Sometimes you can change people's opinions, but for the most part, people are straightforward with what they believe, and I guess for us, because we are so firm in our beliefs, it's always troublesome to see how people think about these sort of situations. And like my brother said, because we have social media, you get to see a lot of opinions, and a lot of people are outraged. Some people are going to justify it, and a lot of people are going to disagree or agree with the situation. But yeah, I mean, for me, I've been exhausted just taking in all of these opinions and having to tell people that this isn't what the message is, this is what it is, having to inform people and give people more information because a lot of people are misguided about what's happening. And yeah, that's just how it is right now. Right now, and that's how it's been, you know, for the last couple weeks or so. It's been pretty draining.
I'm personally like tired, afraid, because like I'm still a junior in high school. Well, my junior year is basically over, but I haven't even reached college yet. And considering everything going on, you know, it's you know, making me fearful of my future. It's like I don't know whether something might happen to me in a year or when I go to college or not. And considering most likely I'll end up going to a predominantly white college or not, hopefully not. But like I go to a predominantly white school and have, you know, a lot of white peers who don't really understand what's going on, only go on social media to post black squares and don't really, you know, fight for what's going on. It's pretty frustrating for me, not only as a black male, but one of the only black males in my school. Just kind of seeing everybody not really care about it, everyone brushes it aside. Kind of like, you know, we don't have that many white allies regardless. They love to just, you know, post one thing and think that they've done their part when it's not that easy. And most of them don't really understand their white privilege at all. They kind of just assume, you know, oh, I got into a good school, when it really isn't like that. Like, just considering things that I've seen and witnessed has been just, I mean, I'm outraged considering, you know, there's a lot of young black men out here being murdered in cold blood without any justice being served. That has me fearful for my life. I live in the suburbs, live in Cheltenham. I wouldn't, even living in, you know, a township like this with whatever his name is, Gale, whatever his name is, saying how, Joe Gale saying how the Black Lives Matter movement is a hate group, when the race of white people has been a hate group this entire time. Understanding like just how that's going on, he doesn't really get it, and it's pretty frustrating knowing how a lot of people don't want to, you know, learn and educate themselves on this situation, kind of see it as a joke. It's just annoying, you know, kind of just talking about things that I've witnessed and seen, you know, like I think this is last year I spoke at Black Males panel, and you know, at the end, you know, you speak, white women come up to you, they're like, you know, you speak very well. It's like, am I not supposed to be well spoken? Am I not supposed to be educated? So like, it's small things that like that people don't really understand that may frustrate me personally. I've had white teachers mistake me for another black male student when there isn't that many of us. You know, like, it's the little things that matter that people don't really understand.
So with all that said, as their father, imagine what I bear on my shoulders, having to be concerned about their well-being anytime they walk outside this door. You know, it is beyond consuming to me and my wife and anybody that cares about them deeply as we do. The underlying sort of issue here is around, you know, comfort or lack thereof, right? At this point, there are a lot of people who are uncomfortable. And I say, good. We live our lives in discomfort. As a black person who wants to educate themselves, who unfortunately or fortunately, depends on how you look at it, has to live in a world or be in a world that's run by white folk, we live with discomfort constantly. And so the awkward conversations, the burden of having to educate, and teach, and share with your white brethren, it's a part of, I guess it's a part of the job. I guess it comes with the territory. But, or however, the reality is what's going on right now should have happened 20, 30 years ago. Should have been happened. You know? But here's where I want to go with this. And I want to be very clear. I think there's so many hypocritical people in this world on both sides. I want to be clear. I'm not going to sit up here and talk like all black folk are on our side or on the team. There's a whole lot of house Negroes cooning and sandballing out here, you know, for the white systematic oppression of people that look like me and look like us. So let's be clear about that. Right? I want to be clear about that. However, here's the reality. The reality is that you have, or we have, a system that's set up for a certain group of people to thrive. That system has been promoted, has been affirmed, has been protected by legislators, by presidents, by people in the justice system, and frankly, by a system of people who work with blue uniforms for the most part. I have absolutely no idea how a white guy can go and murder 9 people in a church down south and be walked out with no issues. Holding them, they stop at Burger King and get them some food on the way. We can go even deeper. A white dude up in the Poconos shot and killed a state trooper and attempted to kill another state trooper as they were walking out of the trooper barracks. And he was apprehended in the woods without incident. Not a scratch on him. And these guys had weapons. And they're black people, black males for the most part, but we can't forget about the sisters, you know, down in Houston and Texas who were murdered by cops who don't have weapons. So, frankly, all of the unrest, all of the discomfort, the looting, the riots, whatever you want to call it, it is what it is. Let's be clear. This country was founded using violence. Every time this country wants something, they do it violently. If they want the oil over in the Middle East, they do it violently. If they don't like the dictator in South America, they overthrow that person violently. So let's stop acting like, you know, everything has to be peaceful. This country doesn't know peace. This country doesn't know peace. And I'll be the first to say I'm a nonviolent person. But the reality is nothing will ever change in terms of us without bloodshed. I'm just putting it out there. People don't want to hear that. People think I'm disrespecting the legacy of Dr. King. Hell no. Because let's be clear, when Dr. King died, oh, he was changing a little bit. You listen to his last speech. He was pissed off.
But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Before he was murdered in Memphis, he was pissed off. So, I'm angry. But I'm also resigned to the fact that nothing's going to change here until we get to the point, you know, where we have an internal, I don't know if we want to call it war, battle, I don't know what we call it. But nothing's going to change. And maybe I'm crazy, right? But I know damn well I'm not speaking any lies here. This country is all about violence. Violent movies, The Second Amendment allows you to have something that's about violence. Yet you want us to be peaceful. And when a man 4 years ago was peaceful in his protest, you blackballed him and he can't even get a job now, doing what he does and what he loves. But like most things, you want to change the rules. So we got to be peaceful, but we got to be peaceful in the way that you want us to be peaceful. I'm tired of this, man. I'm tired of it. So I'll be honest. It takes an incredible individual to lead, right? You have to be selfless to a degree that I can't be. I'm selfish, right? Because I got these three and I got a wife, right? So I can't give up them, right? I'm just not as good as a Dr. King or Malcolm or Fred Hampton or Marcus Garvey or you know, those. I just don't have that in me. I can't be that selfless. Though they are beyond anything I could ever be. But that's what you need. You need leadership, and we need to get back to the point when the Panthers were walking around here. Because I'd be damned when the Panthers were walking around protecting our communities. Oh, they were fearful then. They were fearful then, right? They were fearful. And you got these jokers down in Fishtown with bats and stuff. You kidding me? You kidding me? So yeah, I'm pissed off. I started off being a little even killed, but I didn't got pissed off because at the end of the day, I'm like my son said, we're all tired. I'm tired. I'm 46. I turned 46 almost 2 weeks ago. Tired, man. And everything that they talked about, I've been through. Except that I grew up in the hood. And I lived it. They didn't. Luckily, me and my wife were able to, and our families were able to not allow them to see some of the that I saw. And be privy to some of the I saw and was privy to. But I went to private high schools and colleges. Around all white folk. I went to a gathering back in February, 80th birthday party of my sociology professor. He's a different man. Respect the hell out of him. Good dude, 80 years old. Bill Hohenstein. And I'd be damned if I didn't sit up there. It was like me and 2 other black people, a bunch of other white folk. And I sit and watch these people talk about how this man transformed their lives. And here's a man who, you know, had classes in sociology where men had to wear skirts and I mean, did things like stood on 52nd and 52nd and Girard with black guys really trying to understand our lives. So he got it. And I'm sitting there listening to these white guys talk about how he transformed their lives. And I know damn well they voted for Donald Trump. I know damn well they look up to that idiot. This is the type of stuff we deal with on the daily. But I tell you, I'm gonna always be unapologetically black. And I'm gonna say what I feel. At this point, I'm 46 years old. What the hell can they do to me except kill me? And when they kill me, I'll be free. So, my sons, the twins, wrote letters to this guy, Joe Gale, who's a commissioner on the Board of Commissioners in Montgomery County, who's a Trump blowtard, or dohard, whatever word they want to use. He's a Trump supporter. I want y'all to talk about what Joe Gale basically said and what your response was to him.
I mean, I like the way that I set my email up. I wanted to make sure I hit everything that he talked about in his statement that he released on Monday. I want to talk about his talk about
What
his
did he do? What did he say?
statement. So I mean, I saw it. I think it was Monday night. I think it was Monday night, like 1:15 or something. I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I always be scrolling through Twitter just to see. And so somebody retweeted his tweet, and his tweet was his full statement on the protest in Philly, and he basically said he condemned everything that happened from the protests and people looting.
He didn't even say it was a protest. He said these weren't protests, these were riots.
Mm-hmm.
Completely
and
missing the point.
The thing that got me, this past weekend I was pretty even killed. I mean, I was pissed off as everybody else is, and I was signing petitions and I was reaching out to people. But this in particular statement lit a fire underneath me that I have never felt before, and I don't know why it took until this, but something like clicked in my mind when he said that Black Lives Matter was a radical left-wing hate group that basically started the violence downtown in Philly. That pissed me off. Excuse my language. I don't know if you consider that person or whatever, but that angered me.
As much as I cursed.
That angered me. Like I said, it was 1:15. And I think Lil ended up texting me that night, was like, I'm about to send him an email. And I was already writing. I was actually in my mail app writing it up. And then I was like, you know what, this is going to be too long. I need to go to Google Drive, Google Docs. So I started writing this letter for 45 minutes. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. And I got work, and I got to be up at 7:30 the next morning. I'm writing this letter. So I'll go to sleep, wake up the next morning, and my mind's refreshed, and I'm still angry. And I just continue to write and write and write. I got a little off track, but we talked a little bit about his statement about how he said Black Lives Matter was
a
hate group that spews racism.
You want to talk about a group that spews racism that's still alive today? The KKK? People still allow them to send out messages, but we killed the Black Panthers off, and the Black Panthers are no longer an organization. But we still allow the KKK to be an organization to this day.
But hold up, though. True. But just know that they had some Uncle Tom Negroes that infiltrated the Panthers. So that's what ends up happening. That's what they do. They send one of us to infiltrate our group, and we allow it. Ain't no white folk gonna be integrating the KKK. You know what I'm saying? They own people ain't gonna sell them out for the most part. But what happens to us? They sent one of us to or some of us to infiltrate the Panthers. So I took you off course, but I just wanted to note that.
And he talked a little bit about our Philadelphia's mayor Jim Kenney and Pennsylvania's Governor Tom Wolf. Just talking about how they allow certain things. You can add to what else he said.
He talked about how Jim Kenney and Philadelphia shouldn't allow these opportunists and lawbreakers to to just be out in the streets and to do these types of things. And I know he was talking about the riots and looting, and it all has a message behind it. And I don't know if he's aware of what happened 99 years ago with the Tulsa race massacre, where white men burned down Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm pretty sure he's not aware of that.
One of the most successful, thriving Black communities to ever exist in America.
And so no, there like in 1765, you wasn't gonna see anybody peacefully protesting. You was gonna see them burning stuff down. You was gonna see the Boston Tea Party and them throwing tea into the ocean because they didn't want to. They weren't happy with how they were getting taxed. This country isn't going to move forward with peaceful protests because peaceful protests, they never listen. They don't listen when we peacefully protest. Like my dad said, they always try to move the stick, move the yard line a little further if we protest. They want to tell us how we should protest, when we should protest, where we should protest. And when I wrote my email, I made sure that I was trying to hit all of his statements. He said he watched the Frank Rizzo statue get lit on fire. Good for him. I'm glad he watched that. Did you know what Frank Rizzo stood for? That he was opposed to desegregated schools.
Vote white.
He wanted people to vote white. All that stuff that he did.
And he promoted police brutality.
Yep.
And that statue was standing outside of it wasn't right outside his city hall. It was close to it for everybody to see. And I think a couple of years ago we tried to get it taken down. They said no, we're not going to take it down. Like he was.
Well, I think that when that happened, it was probably while Mayor Nutter was in there, and I think it would have been too challenging for a black mayor to try to get rid of it. So, you know, Jim Kenney actually being from South Philly, you know, I think he has more of a leg to stand on as a white man, and he can get it done. And good for him. Good for him. I mean, look, there's a whole lot of folks who have statues that shouldn't be glorified and shouldn't be celebrated. Or if they're celebrated, celebrate them in their communities, right? Because when I look at Frank Rizzo, I don't look at him as anybody who was, you know, this great person. I just don't. He was, you know, he was not someone who was a friend to our community. In fact, he was more of an enemy, more anti-black folk than others. You know, I think I look at this thing on so many levels and so many layers. You know, you look at someone like Drew Brees and the statement he made. I know he walked it back, and that's what most people do. They make these statements and then they walk them back. But here's the problem with his statement, right? And here's the problem, and you just touched on it, Lil, on some levels. They often try to miscategorize the argument or what we're doing. Colin Kaepernick's stance was never about the American flag. But if we want to talk about being a patriot, we want to talk about the American flag, let's talk about this. Let's just talk about the founding fathers and all the stuff that Drew Brees talked about in his statements. So folks get on their pedestals and talk about the founding fathers as if they weren't slave owners, slave killers, rapists, racists. That's the part that I can't fathom. Right? Now I get they are a part of history. And so you have history and you should know your history. I get that. But when people like me or us have an issue with it because of what they did to our ancestors, I don't quite get how folks don't see that. I'm mind-boggling. Like, I'm supposed to just accept that, you know, like I read something the other day. This person, you know, was talking. I mean, he was referencing Trump as a president, and so he was juxtaposing that Trump's presidency with the greatest three presidents that he thought ever lived. You know, and he said Washington, Lincoln, and Franklin Roosevelt, right? And I'm saying to myself, how the hell can George Washington be considered a great president? He owned slaves. I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, I don't get how, you know, we can trumpet and place the Constitution up there when he said I wasn't a person. Yep. He said I wasn't a person. As a black man, I wasn't a person. To this day in the Constitution, the damn Voting Rights Act has to be renewed. It's not even in there permanently. Yeah, we gotta sit here and talk about this stuff and listen to people talk about you're denigrating my flag and my country and my this and that. What about the black men and women who went to war and had to come back here and be treated like
second class citizens?
What about them? And Drew Brees want to talk about his family and his grandparents. You know what? I appreciate the fact that they went to war because I got a lot of respect for soldiers, right? I got a lot of respect for soldiers because they put themselves on the line. And in this day and age, the enemy that they're fighting generally in the Middle East, that's not a war that they can win, in my opinion, because those people over there, they want to die. They want martyrdom. You can't beat that, in my opinion, right? Our people want to come home, and they should. They should want to come home to their families. I don't think you can beat that. So I got a lot of respect for soldiers, right? I won't put that out there. I absolutely do. Could never be me, but I have a lot of respect for them. With that said, you have soldiers, and I also don't want to dismiss the fact that there are white soldiers who are fighting, who believe in what we believe in. So I don't want to dismiss them either. The reality is, though, when you have white soldiers who are doing that, and our black soldiers definitely who come back and get treated like second-class citizens, what are we supposed to feel? You know, and I'm supposed to get up and pledge to a flag and listen to all these laws and all these rules and stuff. And I'm not even a person. And anytime we get hip to something, they change the laws. We got hip to Chapter 11 bankruptcy and they changed the law. Come on. Like, I'm so sick of these people and their and how they do what they do to subjugate us to a level that is unbecoming of a man or a woman. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. And so at the end of the day, whatever happens, happens, right? You know, they wanted this, you know, this idiot in the White House. And the fact of the matter is, I'm actually happy he's there, because at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, he's pulling out all the ones that were behind closed doors, who never really wanted to put their position out in the open. Now he's allowing them to be out there. So now you know who your enemies are. That's actually good. Before, they were kind of behind closed doors and you couldn't see them. Now you can see them. They right there in your face, and now you can deal with them. Now you can deal with them, right? Now you can deal with them. This whole notion of, well, they get elected, you mean to tell me these folks in the Deep South aren't going to get re-elected for the most part? Every once in a while you get a win because you get some Looney Tune dude or person who has to be out of there. But for the most part, it's going to be the same type of person that's elected all the time, especially from the Deep South. That's why you got to have term limits. That's why and that's when you can really impact real change. So long as you have the same person and the same type of people coming in there, ain't nothing gonna change. And then the last thing I'm saying, I'm gonna let y'all talk, I'm gonna be quiet, is we need another party in this country. We need more than just Republicans and Democrats. And I know we have quote unquote independents, we have like the Green Party, we have the Libertarian, like we have all these, you know, sort of fringe parties. But we need another major, strong, competitive, political party that folks can go to. Because, right, I mean, because, you know, Republicans, I can never be a Republican, even a black one, I'm sorry. And Democrats basically take our votes for granted. You know, to me, they all look the same. I don't care. And I actually, when I say that, I don't care if they're black or white. They all look the same. I want to be clear as I'm talking. I want to be very, very clear. There's a whole lot of black folk out here who are cooning and who are Uncle Toms and who assimilate and are happy to assimilate. And as long as, you know, they can live in the neighborhood and be looked upon as, you know, a good Negro, they cool with it. They don't want no trouble. Well, I ain't him. And I ain't ever going to be him. I'm going to let y'all talk, man.
And like a lot of I've seen a lot of people, you know, come out and you know, say that they love how people are peacefully protesting and all this stuff. But when Colin Kaepernick was protesting, they was burning his jersey. They was burning their Nikes.
All their Nike merchandise.
So don't come out now and say that you're glad, you know, to see people peacefully protesting what they believe in. But when Colin Kaepernick did the exact same thing, y'all was condemning him, and y'all was saying to, you know, keep politics out of sports. And I was gonna talk about this too. You got
Laura Ingraham, what, two years ago or so, telling LeBron to just shut up and dribble because he wants to voice his political opinion.
And shout out to Brian for being one of the few,
absolutely,
with his pedestal, who actually comes out and says some real shit. Shout out to Brian for doing that.
Mm-hmm. She told LeBron, shut up and dribble, but was it today or yesterday, she says Drew Brees has a right to his opinion.
Yeah, he has a right to his opinion. Which one is it?
Which one is it?
There you go. They're changing the rules again.
Do you have a right to your opinion or not?
They moving the line, right, Lil?
Or was it because of the color of his skin? Like, you gotta keep with me, you gotta keep your same energy. So like what Lil said, with Cap was protesting, people didn't like it. We peacefully protested. And then we get the right, oh, no, you gotta peacefully protest. Which one is it? Do you want us to peacefully protest or not? Then you got LeBron James, one of the best, you know, sport activists we've seen, at least in my generation, voicing his opinion, and you tell him to shut up and dribble, and he has to keep politics out of sports. And Drew Brees plays professional football. He's a professional athlete. He has a right to his opinion.
Of course.
And it's always been like that. Like her telling Brian to shut up and dribble is like her, like a slave owner saying stay in your place, telling him to stay in his place, like he doesn't have an opinion. It's always been like that in sports. And you can't keep the politics out of sports because it's always been there and it's always going to be bigger than sports. Like they see this as just, they see athletes as just a dollar sign. They see them as just entertainment. It's always going to be more than that. These athletes have lives, they have families, they have stuff that they do outside of these sports, and they think that they can't have a mind of their own and have an opinion of their own. So Laura Ingraham, I don't even know why we continue to give her the time of day. I don't even know why she has a job, because her job is just to criticize other people and then look up to Trump and those and all those.
It's to criticize black people. Let's
Criticize black
be
people.
very
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah, I don't know why she has a job, because like that's the only thing that she does, and that's the only reason she's in the news, because she criticizes black people and what they stand up for. So like it's always been like that in sports. You tell the black people to shut up and dribble and to stay in their place, and that you should just stick to sports.
I mean, then they always want to talk about, the buildings being burnt down and glass being broken. Yo, you can always build another building, but you know what you can't build or rebuild? Another life.
George Floyd can't come back. You can rebuild them buildings, and I understand why people are upset, but we've started to put property over people. We started to put the flag over people. People care more about kneeling during the flag than
the magic sky cloth.
A piece of cloth in a song is worth more than a life. That's what some of these people actually believe. It is mind-boggling. It is mind-boggling. And to your point about them putting buildings over people, Walmart's a $1 billion industry. You can build another Walmart. You can build another Walmart right down the street, no problem. Sandra Bland ain't coming back. Tamir Rice ain't coming back. You can't rebuild, and I just get headaches over just trying to understand how people don't get it. And I understand people, it's private property, you shouldn't be using. Do you understand what we're fighting for? What we've been fighting for? 400 years ago, they brought the first African slaves over here. 400 years ago. Not much has changed.
Not even 200 years ago were we even free. So it's like, they want to continue to think that racism isn't a problem in the country, and that this isn't a racism this isn't a race problem. This is a economics problem. This is a cultural problem. It is a racism problem, and it's a race problem because we're killed at disproportionate rates. Just look at the statistics. Numbers don't lie. We make up 13% of this country, yet we are 2.5 more times likely than white men to be killed. Why is that? Why is that?
They'll say, here's what they'll say. They'll use the infamous phrase, black on black crime. Have you ever heard of white on white crime?
Don't
or Asian on Asian
crime.
crime? Or it's so it's black on black. That's the one phrase that they do a great job of creating these slogans, to make us look bad. The war on drugs, it's amazing. And again, I think what's really disappointing to me is that you have a lot of people, both black and white, who are super intelligent, but who allow themselves to be hoodwinked, bamboozled. Let me try to run down all of Malcolm's phrases. Hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and might be missing one or two. But they allow themselves to it's crazy. You have intelligent people who can't really they can't look at the thing for what it is and say, yeah, you know what, they have a point. But I get it on some levels, right? Because if I'm a white person and I have my privilege and my privilege is being threatened, you know what? Maybe I don't want to mess with it, right? But at the end of the day, might not be my lifetime, it might not be your lifetime, but it's coming, man. Mm-hmm. It's coming. And I think when it comes, it's going to be a tidal wave. And that tidal wave is going to wash a whole lot of people away. It just really, really is. So get ready. get ready, because eventually this gotta change. It gotta change. And look, there's been a whole lot of unfortunate incidents that have happened, right? And I think, you know, when we talk about, you know, police treatment of black people and black men specifically, I think the thing that's most disappointing to me is that there are good officers.
I was gonna ask
There are good officers who don't open their mouths.
what do you think about the phrase, just a few bad apples?
No, it's that, no. Well, even if it's, I don't agree with that, because I think it's more than a few bad apples. And I already said what my position is on it, right? I absolutely believe that police officers need or should be required and mandated to have at least an associate's degree and an associate's degree in a human relations field, sociology, some type of education, you know, something like that, because they don't relate well to our communities. And the fact of the matter is, most of them are white men who graduated from college, from high school, and grew up in mostly white neighborhoods and were insulated from our communities. And so they need the type of education and training to be able to deal with it. And I'm not talking about 2 hours every 7 months, right? That's nothing, because most of them sit in those trainings and don't take them seriously anyway, and they aren't held accountable to be able to actually embrace what they're being taught, and then to go out and utilize it when they're policing our communities. And so, you know, you got to take radical approaches to this stuff. You know, when I got my master's degree, a lot of my courses were done in schools, were in school buildings. You know, so you have working class educators, so you bring the damn courses to them, and you let them take the courses in the school building, and that's how they get advanced degrees. Well, if we want police officers to have at least an associate's degree, a 2-year degree, you bring the courses to the police precincts, and you have them take them there, right? And you mandate it. And if, you know, the FOPs and all these people got a lot of money, trust me, there's a lot of police officers making a ton of overtime, so somebody can pay for it and mandate that they have to have these, at least an associate's degree. I think if you do that, and it's in a human relationship, I think you'll be starting a real change in how policing works. Second thing is this. I've never understood how within any organization, but I'm talking about police now, you are the bad apples, or those who have been accused of misconduct, are investigated by police.
Yeah.
What is the likelihood that they are really going to be disciplined? It makes no sense. And again, that's not just, that's in a lot of businesses. You get investigated by, you know, your people. Now your people are willing to look the other way, or to make the charge lesser than it should be, in order for you to keep you in police persons situations, keep their job and keep their pension. I hear that oftentimes. Keep their job, keep their pension, right? And that's what happens. So those are the two things that need to happen. You gotta really create an outside body that's independent of the police force, that has real power and authority, and then you'll be able to really hold these jokers accountable for their conduct. And I'm gonna keep saying this. I ain't just talking about the white ones, because there's some black ones out here that act like idiots too. So I ain't just talking about the white ones, right? And I want to be clear, I done came across some decent ones. I done came across some real decent ones. I've been fortunate. You know, I might have been pulled over 3-4 times in 20 years or something like that. You know, and 3 times I've been pulled over by white officers, they was cool. Last time, the white joker wasn't all that cool. Pulled me over because my back light, my light bulb and my brake light was out, and this was a broad daylight. He pulled me over. And you know, I gave him all my stuff, everything about me legit. And then he comes back and said, "Jamal, you have a gun license?" I looked at him like, "What does that have to do with this stop? Did you pull me over because I had a gun license?" "Oh no, that's just standard procedure." "Okay. Yeah, I got a gun license." "Okay. It's legit." You know, go run it. You know, you came back running, get your brake light fixed. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, I think that's to me the way that you're going to change police forces, is you're going to have to do those two things. You know, I feel bad for the police chief, the new police chief in Philadelphia, because frankly, you know, shout out and kudos to Jim Kenney for hiring a black woman from outside of the force, because, you know, for a long time they've had internal candidates who've, you know, risen through the ranks. And I know, you know, she's from out west, but I don't think she has a shot. And I say that, and I want her to win, and I want her to do well, but I don't think she has a shot. Not with this goofball McNesby as the head of the FOP. You know, that's a powerful union. So, you know, he, you know, gets on the phone and he starts pulling his strings, and he's been head of the FOP for as long as I can remember. Like, I'm 46. So that goofball and his cronies, they're gonna make her life live in hell. And I actually think she gets it. I think she gets it, but I doubt she'll be here for more than a couple of years. How much longer does Kenny have? Does he have 2 more years? He might have 2. So she might last for the rest of his term. I don't know how long her contract is, but
You know, you talk about police, and you know, seeing these protests going on in the last week. I find it so crazy that you can give these police officers, all the police officers, bulletproof vests, automatic rifles, tear gas that isn't even allowed in
Tear gas is literally like banned in war.
Banned in war. You can give them all of these weapons and resources. But when it comes to opening up these COVID-19 testing sites, and the resources ain't there, we got medical personnel all across the country making makeshift masks because they don't got the resource, they don't have the funding. Yep. So I mean, I think it's pretty. I mean, he talked about it before about how this country doesn't know peace. All this country knows is violence. It's clear what the priorities are for our country. You can bring in the National Guard, SWAT team, anybody else. You can throw all of them. You can make one call. They there. Yep. We seen all the videos. You got guys who's supposed to be over in the Middle East fighting our foreign enemies. Fighting civilians, unarmed civilians.
No, and the thing that really frustrates me is that, you know, they like, oh, the protesters start the fight, But you can see in a good majority of these videos that it's the police force starting all of the fights and all of the problems going on.
You were down there the other day.
Yeah, like, I'm a photographer. And, you know, I go to things like these to document what's going on. And, you know, I didn't stay super late where things got real rough, but like I could see when things were super peaceful, I could just see them loading up hundreds of cops coming down, bikes, cars, big trucks, don't matter. They was loading up. Something was gonna happen regardless. Like they love to just control the narrative and what's going on. The people who aren't there, who aren't witnessing and recording everything going on, love to say what's going on, but they weren't there to really witness it and really see it with their own eyes. The police, you know, when Trump went to go to the church and hold the Bible up in front of the church as if he was holy or some sort of guy, he ain't. He's the devil, deserves to go to hell. Yeah. Anyway, the protesters, peaceful, nothing going on, ain't no fighting, doing nothing, getting tear gas, also he could have a photo shoot. And even one of the women who really, you know, is about Christianity and is like really high up in regards to that, even she said what he did wasn't right. But then you got the news talking about oh no protesters were tear gassed. But you got multiple eyewitnesses, people who's recorded it, saying you tear gassed the peaceful protesters. The cops, like, you know, when the cameras are on, oh yeah,
You gotta take your knees.
Need blackfist.
Bro, you gotta
Cameras is on, hugging everything. As soon as those cameras go off, it's war. All hell break loose. They don't care because they know it's not going to be seen.
And I put this in my email to Joe Geld. I think he and a lot of people in this country need to take the police off of whatever pedestal they have them on, because I feel like people worship the police like they are like the end all be all, and like they are, you know, just the saviors of this country. And like that's just it just hasn't been the case, because so many police officers aren't held accountable for their actions. And Joe Geld had the nerve to say that the media continues to push this bogus narrative of police brutality and white racism. You want to know what's bogus is the amount of power and abuse that the police have. The police continue to abuse their power to continue to violate human and civil rights and black rights and the rights of people of color. And like they just need to take the police off of whatever pedestal they have, because, you know, in years and centuries of police violence and, you know, documented videos of police violence, police shootings, police killings, and people still don't want to think that there's a problem with what the police are doing.
Because they haven't experienced it. They don't experience it. I'm like, the last time I got pulled over and I seen blue and red lights, that was one of the scariest things I've ever that I go through.
I shouldn't have to, like, my heart shouldn't have to start racing because I hear those sirens.
Palm sweating. Didn't do. I can't remember the last time I got. I might have ran a red light or something like that. I shouldn't have to fear for my life for running a red light, but because I see the cops pulling me over. It shouldn't have to be like that. So I think, to your point about, you know, them not understanding, they don't get the experience, and maybe some of them do. You know, obviously I can't speak for white people, but I bet you most of them don't experience that. They have great experiences with the police,
and they haven't had the experience, you know, having to change who you are, because just so you won't get threatened or violated by the police.
You gotta humble.
People haven't had to, like, no parents haven't had to tell Joe Geld, don't put your hands in your pockets when you walk in at nighttime. Don't take your hoodie down. Keep your hands on the wheel. Say yes sir, no sir. All of that stuff. No, they haven't had to experience that. But we gotta change just so we don't get violated and just so we don't get killed.
Yeah, they want you to be silent. They don't want you to, speak up. They don't know you. It doesn't even matter that they don't know you. As long as they know that you black, that's all that matters. You could go to the best college, best high school, wherever, be from wherever. They don't know that. All they see is the color of your skin, and that's what it is. If I ever got pulled over, I can't say, oh, I went to this school, I went to one of the best high schools in the state. They're not going to care. That's just how it is. They're not going to care how high up you are, what position you are, as long as you're black. That's how it is.
And Kanye, even though I'm still on the fence about Kanye and what he believes in, I talked to you about that one line that he had where he was like, even if you in a Benz, you still in a coupe. You still in a coupe.
Well, Kanye, I'll say it. He's Uncle Tom. I mean, he walks around with MAGA hats on. I had no respect for that. His mother rolling over in her grave. I mean, that woman was a Panther. He done sold his soul. So forget Kanye. He can go ahead. Shout out, rest in peace, Dick Gregory. He was one of the realest out there. Shout out to the OG.
We run the Lord. We probably can finish off in the last 5 minutes. I think the last thing, I think you might have touched on it a little bit, but what can people do to help the cause? And it's not one there's no one solution.
I
That's
think
what I wrote in my email.
I think
There's no
you have
one
to be
solution.
you have to be willing to have those uncomfortable conversations, and you have to stop enabling the BS, right? So when you hear it and when you see it, call it out, name it, and hold people accountable, you know, for their beliefs. Don't like I think you know, I read something today where some white person that said, like, you know, for the most part we just want to, you know, go to work, raise our families, live our lives, and be left alone, right? And I get it. That's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
However, I haven't been afforded that luxury. And so now that I haven't been afforded that luxury, you got to get on board. You got to get on board. And so if you really care, use your privilege to make real change. Get in those legislators' ears. Write them. Call them. You know? I mean, I think that's, and then when you're in your, you know, in your safe havens, right? Because we all have our groups, our cliques, our cohorts, whatever we call them. And you hear and you see the things that you know in your gut are wrong, but you have allowed it in the past, don't allow it anymore. Check those people and tell them why what they're doing is wrong or what they're saying is wrong. That's a start. That's a start.
Gotta educate them. Most of these people are very uneducated, super uneducated, regardless of, you know, what school they go to. Some of the most uneducated people I've ever seen in my entire life.
You gotta just learn your history. You know, pick up a book. I'm reading a book right now about by I think his name Ta-Nehisi Coates. Between the World and Me.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good book, and I'm gonna read it. I got another book that I'm looking forward to. Toni Morrison. And so you gotta read and you gotta educate yourself, learn your history. And I think one thing about white privilege is that you don't have to learn your history.
Exactly.
It's taught. You've learned it from kindergarten through college.
Everybody learns it. Everybody learns it.
And then what I say about black folk is we gotta start. We gotta find a way to unify our monies economically. You know, we have to, because, you know, money talks. And when you see these corporations on TV, you know, starting to get behind this movement or whatnot, it's because they're thinking about losing money. It's not that they really care. But when they think about losing money and they think about that bottom line, then they start, you know, advancing the cause. And there's something that I think I actually do really care, like a Ben and Jerry's.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think Ben and Jerry's are legit. But, you know, I don't know about Netflix and Nike. You know, Nike's about making money. You know what I'm saying? So whatever. Maybe they knew Mike was gonna say something, so they decided. They knew Brian was gonna say something, but I think we have to start using our resources and putting our resources together to help our people. Other cultures do it, and I don't knock other cultures for doing it. They should. At the end of the day, we don't do it enough.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do it enough. You know, we got one black bank in Philadelphia, and I think that has 2 branches. You know, that's criminal. That's absolutely criminal. And I know that there have been roadblocks, you know, and there have been barriers put in place to impede the progress and trying to do things like that. But the reality is, we gotta keep trying to find other ways. You know, that means that we gotta keep opening doors, and as you go through the next door, before you go through that next door, open the one that's behind you for the person that's coming. That's what it boils down to. And then we can't be afraid, man. You can't be afraid. You can't be afraid. You just can't. You know, you cannot be afraid.
And don't, like, if you you know, I see a bunch of people posting the black squares, and I can understand that on social media, but I see people, you know, white people posting the black square on Instagram and saying Blackout Tuesday, and then other white people saying, wow, I'm so proud of you and what you stand up for. You posting a black square, you're not doing anything. Donate to Bail Fund, donate to Black Lives Matter, donate to those organizations. NAACP. Put your money where your mouth is, and just continue to educate people and inform yourself, because the definition of ignorance is lack of knowledge and information, and a lot of people are ignorant because they don't have the information and they don't want to be knowledgeable about what's going on. Last thing, I was just about to tell Neil about it. There's
So this sort of relates to what Dad was talking about economically. That's where we gotta hit them in their pockets because money talks. Everybody knows that money talks.
Oh, snoring.
Shot snoring.
he's snoring like he got a full-time job.
Go ahead, you can go ahead. Yeah, I was just relating those two. Money and
so I first saw the young boy Mikey Williams, who's a phenomenal basketball player.
Talking about going to HBCU.
He was talking about going to HBCU. Now,
really?
He didn't
see his statement?
Now, if he's really
he wrote a long Instagram jump.
That would be huge.
It would be huge. It would be like a domino effect. Like if he goes to HBCU, if he goes to like a Howard University or something like that, he can change the whole narrative.
But the reality is, at the end of the day, they are using our athletes. I don't care if you're talking about getting an education. Well, a lot of them don't graduate, and those that don't graduate and don't make it to play professionally are screwed. So they're using our kids, and so I'd much rather them go to an HBCU where they can learn their history and where they would most likely be taken care of and really have their arms wrapped around them, in a way, and it would help the HBCUs thrive like they were back when we weren't admitted, to predominantly white colleges and universities. So I'm glad I didn't know that. I saw something. Somebody had sent me something with his picture, but I didn't click on.
He had tweeted. He was like going to HBC. He had said something like.
He was like going to HBCU might not be a bad idea.
And then he posted on Instagram a long paragraph about like.
He's going to the 10th grade, right?
Yeah.
He's a rising. They don't have it on ESPN, but he's one of, if not the top sophomore in the country. So after that post, he picked up 3 offers. Norfolk State offered him, Tennessee State offered him, and some other HBCU offered him. So his offers are coming in from HBCUs. That would be phenomenal. That would be.
And like I said, if he can take a couple with him, and just again, you open the gates, man, open the floodgates, and maybe it becomes a trend now.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be the equivalent of what. Steve McNair was at Alcorn State.
Yep.
So I think we've talked now for over an hour. I was passionate in the beginning. I've calmed down a little bit now. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Yep.
Can't work. Got to change the game. Got to change the approach. Bit of advice, don't have arguments. You can't argue rationally with irrational people. So once you see them becoming irrational and illogical, step off. Senseless, it's pointless, don't waste your breath. And for my people, from my perspective, you're either with me or you're not. And if you're not with me, then I know who you are, you ain't with me, you're my enemy. And if I can see my enemies clearly, that makes my job a lot easier. So thank you, Donald Trump, for that, because you've actually made it very, very clear who my enemies are. So thank you for that, you idiot.
We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Obviously, this is a very, very these are rare times going on. Philly's supposed to open up tomorrow, but the coronavirus is still going around, and along with the protests and everything going on in our country, we just trying to be safe, but also use our platform to speak out on what we believe in. Yeah. Any last words?
Yes. Everybody stay safe. Continue to educate. Continue to stay knowledgeable. Just continue to learn. You can never have enough knowledge. Especially with this situation and the people who continue to just spew ignorance and feel like that's okay because of who we got in the White House. But stay safe and continue to contribute to the cause. You know, staying silent is gonna do nothing. You gotta speak out.
And to my protesters, help one another out, because you know they be out there trying to beat on y'all, throw tear gas, things like that. Use whatever tips, tricks you can find, and make sure one of each other, all of y'all, make sure everyone's okay. Look out for one another, and you know, stay up.
Black Lives Matter.